We have what the world wants in Canada, and now we are leveraging our competitive advantages. I'm not sure if you've heard, but we have 10 large national projects, including wind, including LNG, including nuclear energy with the development of an SMR at the Darlington nuclear plant.
That's good.
Countries around the world are asking how they can invest in these projects, and we welcome the
countries around the world are looking at what Canada has for competitive edge, and the first thing that she came up with was wind. Wind. Nobody else has
LNG.
it. Hey, nobody else has wind.
But also, so she's a bull. She's an LNG bull now, apparently.
Yeah.
Talking about how great it is. Seem to remember she was a pretty important figure in the previous government that hated LNG and thought there was no business case to export it to Europe and Asia.
LNG was the devil.
How does she square that circle, I wonder? And also, I'd like to point out, she's speaking to Bloomberg. They love Bloomberg, don't they? Our dear leaders.
I mean, if you're the interviewer there, like, don't you say, wind? What are you talking about? The world wants our wind? Like, the other countries have squandered their economies. UK, aren't they a prime example of wind? Wouldn't you? They're one of the wind people in Germany. Wind, right? Again, you can't even heat your home because of, I guess, wind was too efficient.
Also, like, extravagantly subsidized, and the subsidy is just added to the bill, and that's part of the reason why energy is so expensive in England. It's because these crazy subsidies, and they're not even enough. They subsidize them just in an extraordinary way, and it's not enough. In their last round of the last auction, where they auction off, they ask energy companies to come and take over these wind projects or take them on and build them. Nobody even bid.
And LNG, let's talk about LNG for a second. This is the headline story in the Financial Post this morning. Amid gas glut in Western Canada, tanker traffic for LNG Canada falls short of expectations. Technical hiccups slowed the BC facility startup, and then lower prices. Well, you know what? You didn't want to sell LNG when it had a premium, when the Japanese are begging for it, when the Germans are begging for it, and the South Koreans are begging for it. And now that America is like, oh, we'll sell LNG to anybody. We'll sell it from Alaska. We'll sell it from the East Coast. And now Canada says, well, LNG is a great idea. And now they're saying, well, there's a lot of LNG out there now. Prices gone down.
Just the British. Just tonight, you talking about Britain there, bringing back the PTSD that I have of life in that country. But they've gone really hard on wind, right? And whenever it's windy, they'll say, "Oh, look at the wind! Look how much wind is being generated." But if the British, like, you can do this in there are a lot of different jurisdictions where you can do this. But if you go to National Grid Live, just type National Grid Live into Google, see what it is, how the British are powering their country right now. It's 60%. Or 61% gas. Wind is contributing right now 4.1%, which is 1.38 gigawatts. If it's not windy, the British have to buy gas at extravagant prices from Europe, from Norway as well. It's just...
Those Norwegians.
It's such an ill-conceived power system, energy system.
But apparently we figured out, does it show how much wind is being generated here in Canada?
You can definitely do provincial ones. So you can do like Ontario grid, and you can see that one, Grid Watch. But I don't think there's like an overall Canada one. So right now in Ontario, it's 48.8% nuclear, which is, pretty steady away, isn't it? That's why people love nuclear so much. You can basically fix it at a, yeah.
Well, you can't have nuclear in BC. I don't know if there's a live Canada one. No nuclear in BC.
Nope. Instead, you can have
wind.
Wind turbines.
There you go. Here's a Canadian. This is how Mark Carney treats Canadian journalists, though. Let's listen in on this.
Good morning, Prime Minister. What's your message to Stellantis?
Good morning. I've already given a statement on it.
The Prime Minister not saying much on
there
camera
after
good. Donald Trump.
Good. According to many of the Liberals and the NDP, Donald Trump is an anti-democratic fascist, far-right extremist. But he takes questions from the media like relentlessly. Like he would stop there and he'd probably answer every question that was asked of him. Mark Carney coming out of Parliament answers no questions. Mark Carney right there refuses to answer questions. Who's any anti-democratic? Who answers to the public? Who doesn't answer to the public?
Well, also, like that email that I sent to Mark Carney's press team this morning, and I admit it was out of frustration. I mentioned, like, how many times has Mark Carney sat down with a Canadian interviewer for a conversation? I don't just mean like standing at the pulpit and taking one question. I mean, like, really sitting down. And I did a bit of research, and I can only find Vasi Kapelas. I don't think he's done it with anyone else. There was that time, I'm talking about when he's prime minister. There was that time before the election where he went, what was it, New Brunswick or something like that, and he did a little bit of a sit down with someone. But it's just not happening. But he is going to sit. But he will sit down with the English for some reason. Loves English people, doesn't he? I think I really need to ham
well, that's
that
what you got to sell
I
that
need to
card.
just.
You got to sell
I need
that
to
card.
like get an England flag on my shirt or something.
No. You don't want to do that because then the English will come and
might
arrest
get arrested. What can I do then? Picture of King Charles.
You got to wear the right. You got to put the right things on your Twitter profile. I think that's what you got to do.
Ukraine flag then.
So again, the question is Canada a nation or is it a collection of provinces? And David Eby is going to answer it for you right here.
To put that tanker ban at threat, it's not just a threat to our pristine coast that so many British Columbians, including myself, value, but it is a direct economic threat to the kind of economy that we're trying to build in the country here. And so when I've said, let's cross that bridge when we come to it, we'll see what the Premier comes up with. I'm being polite. I am being polite. There is no project. There is no bridge to cross unless the Albertan government and the federal Canadian government are committing billions of taxpayer dollars to build this project. And if that is the plan, then they should be transparent about it. Don't mistake my politeness for weakness on protecting our economy and our coast. To put that
That's good.
ban at
There you go. He says it to you. He tells you right there. And then the NDP pushed this out again because that's an older clip from him. But the NDP is like pushing it out again, the BC NDP, because they obviously want that message. That's one of his more passionate kind of like speeches. But he did say our coast. He didn't say it's Canadian coast. It's our coast. And so are we just then Mark Carney, the Liberals, ran on Team Canada. I'll remove all the interprovincial trade barriers and we'll have one economy. One economy. This guy says, no, you don't.
And also the polls. Sorry, go ahead.
And Christy Clark has said that tankers sail up and down the coastline all day long. American ones from Alaska. They go by every day.
Yeah.
So you're protecting the coastline from what? Canadian business? Because Americans are already sailing down the coast. They're already sailing down the coast. So it's just more virtue signaling and identity politics. It's not even true. It's misinformation. And then Jason Kenney came out and said that John Horgan even said that David Eby was the extreme left of his party, and he said John Horgan, we can't prove it now. John Horgan called him a mud hutter. But so Mark Carney, I mean, if I got to sit in front of Mark Carney, and as you will, is Canada a nation or not? And that's the question that needs to be answered. That is the question.
But his, one of his loyal lieutenants, Tim Hodgson, just the other day, was asked about this because what it boils down to is Eby's upset that Alberta has been going and asking coastal First Nations what they think of this project and trying to chat them up, trying to see if they can get them interested in a deal. Eby's really upset about that, which is a little bit, I mean, on the face of it, it's odd, isn't it? That's peculiar right off the bat. But it's even more peculiar that Tim Hodgson, Federal Energy Minister, has now come out, or Federal Natural Resources Minister, has come out and said, no, that's the right thing to do. And that's commendable. Alberta's doing it the right way. And we're pleased to see them do that. So it that combined with the fact that what you said, Carney was elected on this idea that he was going to build one Canadian economy and make us a conventional energy superpower and all the rest of that stuff. That's an election So that's the ultimate poll. But then we also have lots and lots of polls, like from survey companies, that show that even in British Columbia, there's a majority of people that are in favor of an oil pipe, specifically an oil pipeline. So when he gets up there and he says, I'm going to protect British Columbians and the British Columbia's coast, it's like, what, you're going to protect British Columbians from themselves, from what they want?